Right, welcome back to the second part of news. We still have a lot to talk about. And the last time I hosted Jimmy Wanjigi, we were talking about the public debt and why it's a haste. And in fact, he said if it was his wish, Kenyans will disown this 9 trillion shillings. Now, it's about 8-9 months since I last spoke to him, and Kenyans have not disowned the debt. We'll be speaking about the Kenya public debt haste in a short while. But thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you, Ken.
Always good to see you
again.
First time in studio. You know, you
Yes.
never come to my studio. Eh?
That is true.
And
it's
I'm
the first time for everything.
You just found a way that I don't eat Mama's food down
Correct.
there.
But next time, karibu nyumbani.
Ntarudi. Asante sana. So let's begin with this, because one of the top stories we're running today is the action that have been taken by counties. It seems the government cannot pay salaries. People are complaining about high cost of living. There's outcry, public outcry all over. From your assessment as a Kenyan, because now you're a citizen, what's happening in the country?
Oh, it's very simply this. We all contribute taxes. We all contribute our money to taxes. That is called government revenue. So take a pen, Ken. This is very simple. Take 100 shillings. That is what the Kenya government is collecting from Kenya revenue every year. Right? Now, of 100 shillings, how much is going out? During Kibaki's time, 18 shillings of that 100 was going out to pay debt.
Okay.
Today, by our
like
estimate,
20%, yes.
It is 80 shillings this financial year that is going to debt. 80 shillings.
Leaving only 20%.
20 shillings.
20 shillings from the 100.
Correct. Now, how much is needed for the counties? 35 shillings. Add it.
35 out.
Yes? What is the figure?
That's 30 plus 20, that's 55.
No. 100 shillings.
100 minus, we subtract
Correct.
first 80.
Now we are going minus.
Yes.
You subtract 80.
80, so okay.
Now you need 35.
35.
You're
yes.
negative what?
50.
15.
50, yes.
15.
Yes.
Then you need 50 shillings to pay government salaries every year.
65.
Right. And then you need another 30 shillings to 35 shillings to pay for police petrol, what is called OPEX, operations of government. What are you at?
90.
There you go.
Yes.
That is why we have a problem.
So
we have now reached a borrowing of recurrent expenditure of 100% of our revenue.
Explain.
In other words, for every 100 shillings we give the government every year, it is borrowing another 100 on top of that to service itself. It's like in your home. You earn 10,000 shillings. All right? 80 shillings is going to pay your debts. So now, in order to live your life, to put food on your table, to put petrol in your car, to pay for your bus transport, to pay your electricity bill, to pay for rent,
You have to borrow.
you are borrowing another 100, another 10,000. So you are at 20,000. You are borrowing 100% of your revenue for recurrent expenditure.
How has the country been running then?
It is a disaster that is here with us. That is what I've been saying. The biggest outflow of our money is this thing called debt. And no matter what you see, no matter what you hear, the government is addressing nothing else but this debt outflow, which this financial year is 1.4 trillion. The next financial year, this new budget, it is 1.7 trillion going out there to oligarchs that is not coming back to Wanjiko or Mora. This is the biggest problem we have. So when you see the government saying it has to increase taxes, it is trying to address the debt problem.
By increasing
Nothing
taxes.
else. Yes.
So
it
they
needs to
want-
pay this.
They
It
want
needs
to get more money
for
to settle
consumption,
this debt.
to settle debt. Nothing else. It's the biggest outflow. There's no other expenditure of 1.7 trillion in the budget. There isn't. That is not even our recurrent expenditure.
Which comes
That
around
is,
500
there's nowhere
billion.
near development. There's no money for development when you talk about this.
Yeah.
It is nothing like this.
The president says, and the deputy president says, that this is a problem that was handed over to them.
Yes.
It's not their problem.
How is it not their problem? They've inherited it. It is their problem. And it is then a question of the government and how it addresses its economic policy going forward. What I'm seeing so far, and I don't think I'm alone, is that the same policies that got us here are the same ones that are being used to go forward.
You're judging them too fast.
No. I'm judging them on their budget. They have come to take more money from us. They believe that government is the driver of growth and unemployment. They believe that is what has been happening in the last 10 years. They want a government that is spending to change our life, to change our growth. And this is where I differ with them completely.
But that's one of the ways of making sure they spur the economy, by spending money in the economy.
That is what is called demand-side economics. Demand-side economics. And that has been practiced the last 10 years, and it has failed. It is a big disaster. That's why we are 80% of our revenue going to debt. Going outside this country, going to oligarchs, not coming back to help Wananchi.
When you say 80%, you're assuming we are collecting enough to pay the debt in this financial year. Where are we?
Let me be very candid. Sri Lanka, the most recent to fall because of debt default, reached a stage where 90% of its revenue was going to pay debt. And they thus could not pay anything else. They couldn't pay salaries, couldn't raise any money for anything. Ghana, which is a closer country to us, and closer even economically, in December went into something called debt default. They had reached 70% of their revenue going to debt. And they had to default because salaries became an issue. It's like your own home. You reach a stage where you say, am I going to pay the rent or am I going to feed my children? So you pay, you pay or feed your children. And the landlord comes and chases you out. That is where we are.
You have to make a choice.
You have to make a choice. And I think you heard David D say it not too long ago.
Yes.
That is where we are.
Yeah.
We are already there even at 80%.
What do we choose? Do we pay debt? So I have only 30 seconds, but let me ask you, when you say 80% of our total revenue goes to pay debt, what is the basis of your calculation? The last financial year, our collections, or this financial year?
This financial year. I'm talking about this financial year.
Okay.
As of April this year, 1.5 or so trillion had been collected. Okay? Our debt payments are 1.4.
Okay.
So you have 2 months to make a difference. If you take an average, we're collecting about 150 billion a month.
Okay.
So put it to those 2 months, you get 1.8, it's about 80%.
80% of our revenue. Jimmy Wanjigi stays with me because this discussion continues in the next hour. In fact, President Ruto is saying that we have to pay more taxes. Then Raila Odinga says no more taxes. Punda imechoka, while Jimmy Wanjigi says it's debt default, let's reorganize. So tonight, we'll put what I will call tonight as Rutonomics and Jimmynomics. I will try test it on the table tonight. Stay with us. Ahead in business news,